Blow up your bench with a program. Now, yesterday I made a video that did really well, and it seemed that you guys really enjoyed it, of me just talking about the one key step, the one key thing that I found out with my lifting, uh, that just helps. So if you haven't watched that video, I'd recommend that you go back, watch the last video. It is titled just a number one secret to blowing up your bench, which I think that video was great, but I think there's also some things that I could clarify a little bit after just reading the comments. I think this should help anybody that still had questions after that video. So if we're just diving into it, programming the bench press. Yesterday I used the example of the 5x5 bench. Now doing a 5x5 repeatedly normally will not work, right? Now, if you go ahead, you do a 5x5, 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 and that somehow works for you, great. But if you're actually trying to program yourself on the bench, you need to understand that it's a little bit more complicated than just doing 5x5s. You know what I mean? In this video, I'm going to be giving you guys the programming tips and how to write your program, but I'm not going to be able to give you guys everything since I do coach people myself, so that wouldn't be fair to them. But I'm going to give you guys enough sauce to hopefully be able to write your own program. If you are interested in my coaching, my email's in the description. Go ahead and just send me an email. Say, hey man, saw your coaching, whatever, interested in that. Current price is $75 a month, but that's enough with that ad. Let's just get talking about the video. So when you're programming yourself on the bench press, you need to understand, what you need to find out about yourself before you do this is, how much load can my body handle, right? See, everybody is different. This is like a super, this is just like something super that I realized. So somebody that I coach right now, I found that he just cannot like handle that much weight. And part of this is from prior injuries, so and so, but he is really good when I don't give him that much weight, and then all of a sudden we make the big jump and it's just there, right? Now this other person that I coach, I find, okay, we need to keep this intensity, we need to keep this volume, we need to keep this weight up, right? So it's important that before you go into programming yourself, you know how you respond on bench, right? On bench, you could do this on squat, bench, and deadlift. It might be a little bit different, but really get a feel for yourself as a lifter. How do I progress? And for someone like myself, I need a lot of weight. I need that weight loaded all the time. And I really realized that through the years. I always want the heaviest weight loaded. And that just helps me grow. That helps me progress. Now, I find if you don't know that, you probably won't be able to just program yourself that great. You see what I'm saying? So first off, we're going to start looking at a program. There's a few key ways to program yourself, right? So like if we're looking at something like conjugate, they never keep the same rep scheme. They always change everything, right? But now if we jump to something like a Joey Flex program, or just like a classic incremental build program, that's typically something like you're just going to start at week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, and you're just going to have the same rep scheme. You're going to jump and jump and jump and jump. I'm not saying which one's right. If it works for you, it's correct. That's simple, right? So you need to understand there's many different ways to do this. You could change rep schemes each week. You could keep rep schemes for a few weeks, but you need to understand which one works the best for your body, right? So before you even get into writing a program, you may need to test all these variables. You may need to test, do I respond better to constant heavy weight? Do I respond better to taking some time off, conjugate method, which is constant heavy weight, changing the rep scheme, keeping the rep scheme the same, building on those reps, right? So you need to just get a good feeling for yourself as a lifter. And for me, I really didn't understand this until I was really benching like 405, which is just crazy. 405 pause too, which I hit like a year after I first bounced it. But no, seriously, it took me a long while to figure out how my body exactly responded to what I was doing. So don't feel rushed by this process. I would say the number one thing to getting a bigger bench in the beginning would just be to figure yourself out. Figure out what can you do to make your bench grow. But so now let's say you figure yourself out, right? You know what you need to do. Now let's get into the actual programming part. So I find what works best is there's like 3 ways of programming. This is what I think works the best. Either you do 2-week blocks, 4-week blocks, or 5-week blocks. And so I'm going to explain different stereotype for each one, right? So a 2-week block, this is somebody who needs a lot of load constantly. Someone like me, right? I really find these 2-week blocks work better for someone like me. You could even do 1-week blocks. You could change the rep scheme after 1 week, but really for somebody like me, 2 weeks, right? So you're going to start with like a RPE 7 week 1, And then week 2, you're going to go like RP 8 to 9, maybe even 10. You see what I'm saying? And that's just like that 2 week. And you just keep doing that every 2 week. You see what I'm saying? Then you have like the 4 weeks, right? This is super typical. It's probably the number one program in powerlifting right now. If you pay somebody less than $40 a month, I guarantee you they're probably gonna send you this copy and pasted program, which you can expect to see. It's gonna look like a one week 1 at 6, week 2 at 7, week 3 at 8, week 4 at 9. It's kind of copy and pasted. That's pretty free. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll tell you that. Save your money. Don't go pay somebody $20 a month for that program, or like $20 for a built-in program. Well, I can tell you what it's gonna look like. I'm gonna tell you the most basic program right here. Free sauce. I'm just about to save your bank account right here. All right, you ready? Here we go. Block 1, rep 3. Block or 3 rep max, right, is what you're gonna work up to. Block 2, 2 rep max is what you're gonna work up to. Block 3 is a 1 rep max, which you're gonna work up to, right? So you're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1, right? Super simple. What you're gonna do in those weeks, you're gonna do RP 6, RP 7, RP 8, RP 9, until you get to like that 1 rep max, and they might let you send the 10. But that's basically all it is. That's what most programs are. That's got to be the number one resold program right now that I see people way overcharging for. Like, buy my custom program, and it's really just like, okay, really? Like, it's RPE 6 week 1, RPE 7 week 2, RPE 8 week 3, RPE 9 to 10 week 4. It's so simple. Like, I'm just telling you the free sauce right now. Go save your money. If you want something that does work. That does work for most people. I would say that works for most people. If you want something basic like that, go ahead and do that. And do the rep schemes, 3 rep max, 2 rep max, 1 rep max for 3 blocks. And then you could repeat the process and it'll probably work again. That is like such a simple process that I see so many people doing. So I would recommend, if you're just looking for something simple, you're not trying to get in the depth of programming, boom, there's your program right there. You save yourself 20 bucks. You just watch my video. Thank you for watching my video. So since you're helping me maybe make a little bit of money, I'm gonna help you save your money, right? Boom, that's that program. Now, but if you're trying to dive into some deeper programming, right? You're trying to, you feel like that you've done that before, but that's not working for you anymore. You can't just keep doing those 4-week progressions, and you also just can't keep maxing every day. You're either in one of those two things, right? These 3 things that I just talked about, which is a 2-week progression, 4-week progression, 5-week progression, really things you just pick up, right? So here we go. Normally in a block, you can't push more than one lift, right? You kind of got to pick that lift. Like, all right, this block is the block of the bench. This block is the block of the squat. This block is the block of the deadlift. You need to understand that. If we're saying bench, let's say you're going to push the bench really. Typically you might be able to push the bench and either squat or deadlift because the bench is a lot separate, but really you have to pick one. Now that you're in and you've picked your one, you need to say, all right, what rep schemes work good for me? Now, somebody like me hitting a top set for like 8, that's just not me. You know what I'm saying? I was like, it's got to be 5 reps or under for me to really make progress. And I can't really do blocks like that, or weeks and weeks and weeks taking like big jumps. I find that the smaller the jump is for someone like me each week, because I need to stay heavy, right? So if I'm gonna do like 2 blocks or 2 weeks each, so here's like a program example that I would maybe set for myself. So we're doing 2-week blocks, right? This is just an example for the 2-week blocks. So I'm gonna do a set of 5 at RPE 7.5 for the first week, and then we'll do a set of 5 at RPE 9.5 for the second week. That's just for me. Now we're on to the third week, right? So we start a new block pretty much. It's 2-week blocks. We're on to that third week. I'm going to give myself a set of 3 at RP 7. I'm going to give myself a set of 3 for this week 4 at RP 9. Then I'm probably going to jump to 1 rep because 2 reps for me, I'm just not a huge fan of. I'm more of a fan of like 3s, 2s. I just can't dig. So I'd really jump to like 1 rep. So right now we're on week 5. So I give myself an RPE 8 single for week 5, and then week 6 I give myself probably an RPE 10 single, hit that PR. So in 6 weeks I've built from 5 to 3 to 1. I found that works pretty good for somebody like me. Now if you're somebody who needs more rest, you do a little bit lighter weight. Okay, so now we got to look at like the 4 week block. Okay, and so what the 4 week block would look more like would be week one, you're gonna hit something at like seven, probably seven, 7.5 max. Then you're gonna jump in RPE. Then you're gonna jump in RPE. Then you're gonna be at like about RPE 9.5 at the end of it. And there's nothing wrong with that. If that's how your body is, you need a little bit lighter weight. You need to take the time off. You need to build it up slower. Perfect. And even somebody, if you need heavier weight, you're like myself, you need heavier weight. You even could do that 4 week block, but instead of starting at like RP 6 here, you start at RP like 7.5. Then you go RP 8. Then you go 8.5. Then you go 9. Or you can even go RP 8, 8.5, 9, 9.5. You see what I'm saying? You could jump very small. This just depends on your body. Like going back to what I said earlier, it's super important that you know your body and you know what you're doing to make the most progression, right? So then we're going into like a 5 week block. Now, this is somebody that's typically newer to lifting that would benefit most from a 5 week block because at the week four, right, they're hitting like a new PR. Even if they're hitting like a PR in the week three and they hit a week four PR and they smoke it again, well, you're not just gonna like. Let's say you hit a set of three for a PR on week four, and it moves at like RP 8.5, and you want it at like 9.5. You're not just gonna add more weight to that because you're probably gonna be a little bit tired. You're gonna be worn down. You're gonna be a little fatigued. So instead of just cutting the program at that week four, you're gonna add a week five to that, and you're gonna go for yet another PR. And this is really something that I see newer lifters can do these 5 week blocks. A lot of time for newer lifters, RPE really won't work. Now, so let's say you're squatting like 315. 315 is your squat max. The most you've done for three is like 275. Week one, you do 255 for three, you smoke it. Week two, you do like 270 for three, you smoke it again. You're like, okay, week three, you're hitting a PR 280 for three, and you hit this PR and you smoke it. Week four, you go 295 for three and you smoke it again at like 8.5. So you don't have enough in you to take another set of three like that same day. You're like, okay, we're gonna add a week five where you then go 315 for three, you triple your old max. Those days are amazing. If you're currently in those days, don't take advantage of it, or take full advantage of it is what I mean, but don't forget them. They're super fun. I wish I could go back to those days where I'd be hitting like a new PR for three. You know what I mean? And you really see that a lot with newer lifters. So typically, I would say if you're a more experienced advanced lifter, you know yourself more, you know how to calculate RPE. I'd say the 2 week block or the 4 week block. Now you could do the single week blocks or you could do the 3 week blocks. And I'm gonna explain a little bit how I do a single week block. Now, if you're changing the rep scheme every single week, it's important to know that you're changing the RP every single week. You can't just go RP 10 set of 5, RP 10 set of 4, RP 10 set of 3, RP 10 set of 2, RP 10 set of 1. I found that I've tried that before. I really have tried that, and I thought that was the answer for the longest time. I was like, shoot, I just found the glitch in the system to blowing up all my lifts. I really found that doesn't work because maxing every single week, that will take a hit on you. And eventually, if you do max every single week, this coming from somebody who used to max every single week, eventually you'll get to that point where it just doesn't mean anything anymore. Like every day in the gym is a new max. You know what I'm saying? So it's important that not only for your CNS, for your fatigue, for everything else, that you don't max every week, but it's also for your mindset too. Because like if you go to the gym and every day that you walk through that door, it's gonna be a new PR attempt. When does it actually mean anything? Like if you are going to lift on the platform, how do you know to tell your body to give you that extra 5% that maybe you couldn't unlock on the platform? You can't, because it just doesn't mean anymore. It's the same as another day in the gym. And maybe you might like that, but honestly for me, I wouldn't recommend maxing every single week, right? So if you're changing the rep scheme every single week, I would recommend that you pair an RPE. So if you're going to do a set of 5, I'd say you do at RP 8. And then you're going to do a set of 4, maybe 8.5. You're going to do a set of 3, 9. You're going to do a set of 2, 9.5. You're going to do a set of 1, then you hit it at the 10. But you don't do RP 10 every single week, because that's just, a lot of people get injured from that. Somehow I was one of the lucky people that didn't get injured from maxing every week. And that's, I don't know, by the grace of God, thank you. But yeah, for most people that just really won't work out. Now, the reason 3 week blocks I also find a little bit tricky is because you're right in between that sweet spot of taking like a full 4 weeks to complete like a full month block, and then taking like 2 weeks to just make like small jumps. You see what I'm saying? So like 3 weeks, it's hard to do. Typically, if I'm gonna do like a 3 week block, I'm gonna do like a deload, like a true deload on the week one. So like if I'm trying to do triples this block, this 3 week block, week one I'm gonna go literally like RP like 4. And then I'm gonna start my RP 8. Then I'm gonna go my RP 9. You see what I'm saying? Just stuff like that. And as you keep progressing, you'll find out what length block works the best for you. But this is a lot to take in. Going back to what I said in square one, it's important to know your body. And maybe you want to try all these style week blocks. You want to try 1 week blocks, 2 week blocks, 3 week block, 4 week block, 5 week block. You want to try them all. And this may take you over a year to learn, but eventually you will learn your body. And learning your body is probably the number one key thing to blowing up your bench press, to blowing up your squat, to blowing up your deadlift. You could basically apply this to all things. It's just knowing your body, right? So I'm going into more depth, maybe not a 5x5. I'm typically not a fan of doing anything other than a top set on a primary day, at least, right? Now I can make a whole nother video on how to program secondaries. This is mostly just primaries that I've explained in this video. I don't want to make this too long. I can make a whole nother video talking about secondaries. I'm just talking about primaries. I'm typically a fan of doing a top set. If not a top set, a 2 by something. But anything like a 3 by something, it works, but that's like a little bit out of my comfort zone. You see what I'm saying? But if you're doing like a 4x4 as a primary, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather do a top set into some back down. So just like if you're wondering what an example of that would be, so I don't have to answer the comments later, let's say I want to do a set of 4 one day. So I do a 1x4 at whatever the RP is. And then after that, I'd probably do something like a 4x5 or like a 3x6 after that. Because I find it hard to get like a set RPE and do it for multiple sets. Because like the RPE, you want the last set to be that RPE, but how do you choose that number, right? Because you have 2 sets to go through, and how fatigued are you going to be on the third? That's pretty hard, in my opinion, to judge. How are you going to pick an RPE if you're going to do like a 3 by something? Because you're picking the RPE for the last set when you haven't even done the first 2 sets, right? So just like I said, my personal opinion, do a top set, then do back downs. Do maybe 2 top sets, then do back downs. But anything more than like 2, you're just a little bit out of my comfort zone, but maybe it works for you. Back to square one. If it works for you, do what works for you. So hopefully you guys can benefit from this video. Let me know what you want to see more of. I really just wanted to dig more into the RPE work and just taking it deeper into my method, what I believe has worked. Like I said, I can't give you guys everything on here because I do coach people that wouldn't be fair to them. But if you want to know everything that I know, you want to be coached by me, email is in the description. I know $75 a month, not the cheapest, not the most expensive, but I really take it serious. And like these videos, you can tell I really care to make good videos, good content. And you guys can hopefully benefit from this. Like if you trust me to give 18 minutes of your life to me, I hope that you can benefit in your lifting journey as much as I was able to from some advice like this. I really wish I had watched this video back when I was benching 135. When I was benching 135, it was 155 every single day I was in the gym until I hit 155. I did that for many, many years. Man, I could possibly be benching 545 right now if I knew back then what I know now, but that's just part of the game. Watch as many videos as possible, get as much advice as possible, and then go back and think about it. You may not agree with my advice at all. Don't take it. You know what I'm saying? Listen to everybody's advice. Take in all advice that you can take in before you make your own choice. Always be open-minded to what somebody has to say, because somebody's opinion might be wrong to you, but it might work for them. You know what I'm saying? There's never a wrong answer in powerlifting as long as it works for that person. But if somebody's telling you something that's not working for you, then it is the wrong answer. You see what I'm saying? So take all advice. It doesn't matter. Somebody who I haven't always agreed with, I can't remember his name, bench like 700 pounds. I never really agreed with his advice. I didn't take it. I didn't use it. Boom, no problem. It worked for him. I don't think it's going to work for me. I don't think it's going to get me a 700-pound bench. Unfortunately, I wish it did. But yeah, so just take in all the advice you want. let me know what you guys want to see next. I enjoy talking about programming, bench press especially. But yeah, go ahead, like, comment, subscribe. Blake Wendt signing out. Peace.